This video is sponsored by boot.dev. More on them a little bit later. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. You've been to the channel before.
Have I ever physically been in a video? Like,
I don't know.
of yours?
Of mine. You were here as a cartoon last week. We did a Fakemon video. Which was fun. It didn't do crazy well. Which is a shame because I think
Not my fault.
Yeah, well, Cuppa Phee was in it, so it could have been on her.
No, I think it was Pragmagic.
The brief little cameo appearance. But I was thinking about, like, okay, what can work for us in terms of, you're a Fakemon guy, and I'm a lore keeper, believe it or
I'm
not.
a real human, I'm not a Fakemon man.
You are a two-dimensional, much like your cartoon person, and all you know is Fakemon. And I thought about, while we were at dinner last night, there's this tweet that I saw this week that I think a lot of people probably saw that really just sparked the imagination. And then as it was coming out of my mouth, you said, oh, we should do a video about that. So
No, first I said I saw that tweet first. I'm gonna mention
Take credit
I'm
about
the
it.
one who saw the tweet.
Okay.
It was a very nice tweet.
So what was, people have probably seen it on the thumbnail. What was the tweet?
It was a drawing by ZZ Fur Draws on Twitter about a Shelder that bit a Rhydon's horn while drinking water, and it basically looks like what it does when it bit a Slowpoke's tail.
Right.
Now it naturally is implemented into the horn of a Rhydon. It actually, shape-wise, it looks aesthetically
It works
incredible.
perfectly, and I think the reason that it did for me give that like feeling of, and obviously you're going to be seeing it somewhere around here, why it did for me kind of evoke that feeling of like imagination and exploration in the way that I think Fakemon do best is, yeah, if Shelder bites the tail of Slowpoke, why wouldn't Shelder bite other things in the world of Pokemon? And then also, Rhydon's got the little thing where it knows Surf, which is quite odd for a rock ground type.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You could almost make like a, oh, it's because certain members of the Rhydon species go around with Shelders on their face and they sort of absorb the water energy of it. And I just love this. And so what I wanted to do today, literally based off of this one image, so thank you, ZZ for Draws. Am I saying that right? ZZ for Draws.
It could be everything.
All artists in this video linked in the description is, I've told you to just choose some Pokemon that feel like lore accurate Fakemon that for the life of me, I don't know why Game Freak hasn't done.
Yeah, basically forms that could be easily implemented and would expand the lore so much.
Right. And I just don't know why we haven't got so many, because some of these are so cool ideas, and so Game Freak, if you're watching, which you're not, this is the video for it.
I think this Fakemon works really well because of the shapes. So, for example, you want a good, when you have a Fakemon, you want to make sure that one part of its proportion is, not exaggerated, but almost enunciated.
Well, it's Rhydon, it's the horn, right? It's
So
the whole
Rhydon's
thing.
the horn. So if you expand on that and not make it very top heavy, you know that this thing will attack hard. That's what it's about, just head bashing you with this horn. And when you know what a Fakemon is about, when you know what a Pokemon is about, just by looking at it, it's very successful.
I think like Rhyperior is like one of the more criticized evolutions of like the Pokemon world, and because people really like the Rhydon design, and I think when you look at Rhydon, one of the first things you think about is a horn. It's got a big horn, it's got a big drill horn, right?
Technically, you also think about armor. I mean, so more armor
I suppose
is natural.
it does make sense, but it was interesting that they doubled down on the armor aspect with the Protector than they did with the horn, which really did feel like the key element.
True.
And the idea of like going nuts with that, I really love. There's all sorts of theories as well about like for Galarian Slowking, the toxins of the Shelder have like poisoned the brain of the Slowking and the Slowpoke, and now the shell is in control. And I think looking at the image as well, I really get that feeling of like that might just not be a Rhydon anymore as well. It could just be
parasitic.
like the Rhydon uses the horn for protection, but actually, yeah, the shell is actually, it's just the Shelder. It's actually really, it's a cloister form that has possessed the body of a Rhydon for protection. It's kind of a fun idea. I like that. So I've got some more that are in a similar vein, and so I've not seen a lot of what you're sending to me, and you've not seen a lot of what I'm sending to you, so that I can surprise you with this. Okay, so we actually had to cut the video there. Obviously, there's more about to come. Ron's had to go get some water. So while he's gone, let me just tell you that this video has been sponsored by boot.dev.
So you might have noticed I've been streaming a lot lately, and my good buddy Game Boy Luke, who's a computer science major, has been showing me some extra overlay things that he can do with the power of coding. I don't really understand coding, but everything he's been doing has been so cool. I'd really like to learn some more, and this is where the sponsor boot.dev came to me and said, well, hey, we know how to make learning coding fun. To me, coding is like some kind of ancient fantasy hieroglyph language, and to be honest, they kind of make it fun like that by turning it into a fantasy RPG game as you level up and gain experience and unlock rewards in learning how to code. That's the game? That's cool. Within literally a matter of moments, I was beginning to forge forward and understand just the very foundational building blocks of coding in programs like Go and Python and JavaScript, stuff that I thought was just way above my head. But the best way to learn, it turns out, is to never make you bored, and so they've made it incredibly fun. Learning code otherwise is just something you can't really do without a lot of on-the-job experience, and seeing as I'm unlikely to get that, how am I gonna improve my streams? Well, I need to learn coding, and this is how. They've even made it competitive in a way that there's a global leaderboard. I'm not quite ready for that. The only competition I'm in is the one against myself to learn, and this seems like a doorway to something entirely new for me, so I'm very excited. What's more is when they reached out to me to sponsor this video, they said, well, hey, we don't want any student to feel like they're not getting their money's worth. There's a free demo on the website, which is where I started before even signing up, and once you do sign up, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, refund policy, no questions asked, so it's completely risk-free to try. And if you're ever getting stuck for any reason, there is a community Discord filled with real-life people ready to help and share their experience. So learning coding has never been easier. Alongside drama, my computer classes in school were probably my favorite classes that I did, and I think if something like this existed at the time, I would have learned coding by now, actually very quickly. What's more is when you click that link in the description and use code LawkeeperToby on checkout, it not only supports the channel, but you get 25% off an annual plan, so it's risk-free, completely fun, and you get an amazing deal. Thank you so much to boot.dev for sponsoring this video. I'm looking forward to jumping in and learning some coding myself.
And with that, Ron, you've got your water. So let's get back to the video.
Did you just do a sponsored segment with
I
him?
absolutely did.
Oh.
Okay, so this is an artist called Kaijumon, and actually, it kind of did the exact same...
Thinking about ancient Pokemon.
Refreshed?
Yeah. It's hot here.
So there's an artist called Kaijumon who years ago did the same kind of thing where it was just a Fakemon that inspired so much imagination. This here is Porigami. And it is you could call it a regional variant. It could be a Hisuian Porygon, right?
A lot of these are going to be the same kind of form.
The same thing. But you could see this now more akin to like a Wiglet or something. But I love the idea of taking, and they kind of did this in Hisui with Hisuian Voltorb and regular Voltorb. They took something that felt quite modern and said, how could this work in the ancient times? But I just think, just because of the name, Porigami, Hisuian Porygon just works really well as a paper, well, just as an origami is like a paper crane.
It makes sense as a primitive form of Porygon.
It would be a normal type. That makes sense. It could be grass type, like Kartana, but it would be a normal type, so that makes sense because it is like the most normal thing is paper. It's just like a normal object. But what I love about it is it kind of expands the mythos of the Pokemon world in a way where it's like, okay, so there was this form of creature that always seems to come about, and you could thread all sorts of stories about like tech creatives of the modern age being inspired by artists of ancient Hisui. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And the art creates life, which I think is a really fun idea.
What's funny is that, so kami, the word kami in Japanese could mean like parchment paper, just like paper, or god. So
right.
This could be like some kind of thing, something that they worshipped or something, or I don't know.
What? Like, oh, well, maybe, or you could do like if it was set in Hisui, like this was a Hisuian form that we actually got, which again I really wish we did. You could have done something like the Hisuian people write notes and prayers to Arceus, which they then fold into these beautiful forms, and sometimes these creatures take life. Like that would be like a really fun way to integrate it with that concept.
Design-wise, I'm noticing because of the almost nose that is going here, it's a little bit cuter than normal Porygon.
Yeah.
So kind of like there are a bunch of regional forms like Ponyta, like a Galarian Ponyta, or even a Alolan Vulpix that are more diminutive, like their features are a little bit more baby, more cute.
Sure.
Which is a thing that just regional forms have a lot.
Yeah. I think it's the kind of thing that actually, if years ago, if I was doing this channel, like if I was doing the Lawkeeper Toby rebrand, if a Pokemon like this existed, I actually think it would be like skyrocketing to the top of my like, that would be a mascot. That would be a mascot Pokemon.
You love normal types.
I do like normal types. Yeah, because I think every time they make a new normal type, they've got a challenge, an actual creative challenge of how do you make something normal interesting. Porygon's a great example of that. You know, a lot of older Pokemon kind of do it well, like
Blood Moon Ursaluna.
You know, but Blood Moon Ursaluna is doing it well.
Snorlax.
Snorlax is really just a big bear, right, that sleeps. Yeah. But I did like it for a long time.
Togepi originally, so like that whole line was normal, but not really.
Well, now it's now fairy, right? It's not normal anymore. I'm actually going to come back to Togepi. Spoiler alert, there's like an upcoming Togepi thing.
I'm actually going to come to a very big normal type that we aren't mentioning yet.
Okay, well, why don't you do that now? Let's see what you've got. What did you bring me?
I think this is last but not least. I mean, it's not last. It should be last because it's probably the best, but I'm not going to mention that.
All right, okay, all right.
I'm not going to say that. Oh, this is a surprise to you, apparently. Because all the other ones you mentioned.
I might have been aware of.
Or you may have seen them on Twitter. This one apparently you did not at all. Where did I put it?
Oh, so this is the one you were on your phone earlier in the living room, and you were like, "Chubby, I gotta talk about this one."
This makes so much sense for this video that you were brewing. The Dittoverse by Vic Works. So this is like context for what I'm about to show you technically. So he basically made a bunch of different forms of Ditto that represent different forms of art or ways that you can depict like art styles in.
Right, okay, I see that.
Like Sinoform, I actually have to go for it. Like for example, Unova has like shadow frame that looks like old cartoons, like you know, rubber hose a little bit.
They're all black and white.
You have Alola would be like stellar constellations, like making
part of the.
So when this, it's a huge part of Alola
region.
And when it transforms into the Pokemon take on that art style. So, for example, this is all the Unovan transformations that he can have.
I cannot imagine for a second Pokemon going to the effort of implementing this.
But it makes total sense.
But it makes so much sense. I love that, but why would Ditto evolve to do that? To like...
It's regional forms.
Well, oh yeah, I suppose, because it also is a living creature. It's gonna have variation as it evolves and adapts.
This one actually makes the Unovan one makes so much sense because it could be like an ink blot.
Right.
Instead of a Jello.
No, I kind of love that. And you would have like... I can imagine, like, you'd find loads of these forms around the PokeStar studios. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where they would live.
The Sinnoh forms you may like. You love this aesthetic.
Right, okay, because this is like the Hisuian Japanese kind of like aesthetic.
There are so many, I don't know if you want to see each.
I want to see a bunch. I want to see a bunch.
Well, he made even more. Like, dude, Vic Works, there are just way more forms. I hope this is a project you can use,
so like, for example, the Totem Ditto, Totem Topiary? I hope I'm saying that right. I think that one like conveys it really well.
Totem Topiary.
Okay, that one conveys it really well. Because you can imagine that Ditto in the world of Alola would want to mimic the various totems that are out there. So you've got all those, statues, and you've got the Tapus and that kind of thing. And in changing its biology to match that, you could then have a bunch of, like, I can see how that would happen in an organic biological sense. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like the ink blot, I get it. I get why it's cool.
What even fell?
With the ink blot, I think it looks really cool, but I'm not sure how that weaves into like, how would that evolve biologically? But then I guess Ditto is just a blob, isn't it?
It's literally a blob, so it's actually closer to its original origin.
Right, because it would just become like a
black blob.
Yeah, an organic blot that was. I like that. I like that a lot.
I mean, that one's just dark type apparently, and it makes sense because it becomes, when it transforms, it becomes these rubber hose type Pokemon that maybe will be a little mischievous, a little bit cartoony,
very playful, it's very multiversal almost. Do you know what I mean? It just in breaking the art styles like that. It's kind of very it's Spider-Verse. It's Dittoverse, right?
I love the Hollow Pixel one. That I want to see all the forms that it can.
That's cool.
So I mean, if you just follow
that also makes sense because Pokemon live, as we with Porygon, they live in cyberspace. The idea of like a Ditto that adapts to cyberspace and then could transform into any Pokemon within that space. Pretty cool idea.
I want to see all the forms that you can make. Just, I guess you're gonna have to follow Vic Works to find out all of the transformations that a Ditto can have.
And again, links to all of the artists are in the description. Speaking of which, she's gonna kill me if I don't mention it. I don't know if she's in earshot. This is the Hisuian.
Phoebe!
This is the Hisuian, it's Hisuian Typhlosion, but it's got a Spiritomb integrated into it. So it's kind of like Blood Moon Ursaluna. It's like a new form of that Pokemon. The reason I think this is cool, and maybe you can explain the reason it's cool, Phoebe?
Because I drew it.
Okay, thank you very much, Phoebe.
Yeah. No. There's lore in both Spiritomb's dex that states it's made up of, is it 108 spirits?
108 spirits for Spiritomb, yeah.
And then there's also some lore to do with the move that Hisui Explosion gets.
Right, yeah, so in the I think it's on the Pokemon website exclusively.
Infernal Parade?
There's the Infernal Parade ejects specifically 108 Will-O-Wisps.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're like clearly connected, these two Pokemon. And the Wisps, I think, come back to it. If they did, after becoming a Spiritomb, this is what you get. And so this is like kind of like Blood Moon, Ursaluna, but for a different Hisuian Pokemon, basically.
Is the whole like march of like the spirits in Japan? I don't know, around October or something like that.
Maybe.
Where, like is it 108 spirits? I don't remember how many spirits.
For the March of Spirits in Japan?
Yeah, it's like the whole thing.
Let's have a look. We've got Google at our fingertips. There are a night parade of 100 demons. So not 108.
I mean,
they're 8 short.
They just rounded it.
They just rounded. Well, yeah, could be so. I don't know. I don't know the mythology.
And no, well, demons by demons they just mean like yokai.
Yeah. They mean yokai. But then that's how you get to your Spiritomb connection with Typhlosion, which I think would be really cool. Also, I love that you know that because you watched my video.
Now get out of here. This is my collab.
This is just like the one last week that we did. We're giving you a bunch of videos to watch, by the way. You should absolutely watch the Cuppa Phee video on that, and you should also watch the video we did last week.
Speaking of plugs, a few months ago I actually made a video with a similar concept called Official Pokemon Forms You've Never Seen Before, where I took a bunch of Pokédex entries that insinuate that some Pokemon have different appearances during different parts of their life. Or
I saw this. This is the cool one with the Scizor on the thumbnail.
So in the thumbnail is one of them where, for example, Scizor's metal armor, metal coat,
it's just a metal coat, I am.
Can melt off. So I made a version of it that did.
Is that a Pokédex entry?
Yeah.
It melts off?
Well, that's why it beats. The beating of its wings cools down the metal when it heats up, basically. Cool. Speaking of heat,
here's a hot day. Here's a hot day here in the Galar region. You missing Unova?
Oh, actually, it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit in New York right now.
That's amazing. Sorry, not the Fahrenheit.
And,
the wings flapping. That's cool. I didn't know that was part of the lore.
Well, I thought I was lying.
No. I just didn't know. I just didn't know.
So I made a bunch of fun. Let me think of which ones make the most sense for this video.
Okay.
Oh, what does Pineco look like without its bagworm cover? Because it is just a bagworm.
It is just a bagworm. It's going to look way more insectoid, right? It's going to look way more like a bug. He's just a little guy.
Little mustache.
I actually love that you kept that because I think it would be too speculative almost to like just go like as a random bug. But like with that, it's like, oh, it's building the rest of its armor out from around its little mustache. Which I really like. And I don't know why I think that ties so well into Fortress, but it does. It just does. He's like an old king. He's like an old general who's in his fortress.
Oh, you're right.
You know,
right.
I don't know. Like, that's what I see.
Obviously,
like me.
Obviously, this one's easy. Tangela without its tangled vines.
This is disturbing me a little bit.
This is Terry.
Terry the Untangled Tangler. Untangled? Untangler? I don't like that one so much.
Hey!
I wouldn't like.
This one's actually very speculative, but it also... I don't remember the Pokédex entry for it. Can you give me the Pokédex entry of Varoom? And off the top of your head, go Google it.
No. It is said that these Pokemon are not liked by any fans. Oh, that's the Pokédex entry.
Apparently, it is a Pokemon that has possessed.
Yeah, that's right.
An engine.
Varoom is a Pokemon that bothers me, by the way, because it's poison steel, but then its Pokédex entries talk about possession, and its body has got rock segments.
Oh,
and
exactly.
It upsets me so much. I'm going to find this Pokédex entry.
It's possessed a rock, or it's possessed an engine. No, I think the engine's naturally part of it.
Yeah, which makes no sense, biologically speaking. But then, it's Pokemon, so I guess that's fine. It is said that this Pokemon was born when an unknown poison Pokemon entered and inspirited an engine left at a scrap processing factory.
So, I made a design that is without the rocks, and it's basically this, like, squid-like...
Okay, so I love this, because this is when we first did the Tree of Evolution, when we first saw Varoom, I looked at that and went,
squid.
So yeah, biologically, how does that work? And the only thing I could think is like, yeah, it was a squid that had sort of, or like an octopus or like an inkling or something.
Because it levitates for no reason, so it makes sense. It levitates in the air, like...
Sure.
And then the
like a bunch of fish Pokemon do. And then you've got like the ink and the jet fuel could be like the same kind of thing.
Exactly. And then the pipes could be the siphons and the tentacles on the...
Yeah, that's actually way cool. I think I would like Varoom way more if it was like this, effectively. If we could see it like that.
Honestly, this is more
without
like a cuttlefish. Honestly, this is more like a cuttlefish.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is. I like this, though, a lot. This is, no, I'm a big fan of that. It is a very confusing Pokemon in the lore that I feel like they just shoved in so that they could do the Team Star big battles, the big boss battles.
So there are way more forms in the video. You're going to have to check out the actual video to see the rest. We don't have time for that. But I'll give you 3 options.
Okay.
You tell me which one you want me to show. So, either Charcadet, in its Pokédex entry, it says that it's born from just a piece of coal. So I gave it like a baby form that is more just like a ball of coal. Or Onyx is said to smoothen out as it ages. So what about an old smooth Onyx? Or the third one could be just a hardened lava slugma that has slowed down and becomes rock.
I like the Slugma. I want to go for option number 3. I'm glad you said them all.
You picked the sad one. The other ones
I want
really cool.
I want to see that. But you can see the other ones in the other video, right?
Okay.
So let's see the hardened sad Slugma. Oh no, but he's just like he's just chilled out now, like quite literally chilled out from the magma process. I don't think this is sad. I think this is like
No, he's about to die.
Sure, but he's like found bliss and peace.
Oh, true.
It's a Slugma that's found, you know, a calmer way of life.
I'm gonna show you the smooth Onyx. Not you guys, but not you guys. You're gonna have to watch the video.
Okay, then I didn't choose Onyx for a reason. Oh, that is actually really cool with the moss. Oh no, I like him too. Yeah, you need to see that video. Because I was actually I had a thing I really wanted to. Okay, the Charcadet's adorable.
Go check out the video to see the Charcadet.
It's funny that you mentioned all of this because I was gonna show you an Onyx as well. But it's a bit of a cheat. It's a bit of a it's that one there.
You've mentioned this since the beginning of our friendship.
It's not really a Fakemon. I have to advocate for it even still. It makes no sense to me. It's an ice type. Okay, when they made the Alolan forms, they provided the perfect opportunity for it. In fact, Alolan forms were inspired by regional variants that existed in the Orange Islands. The whole of Alola are the Orange Islands, effectively, with trials and like different gyms and that kind of thing. And you've got these regional variations. They took the first 2 revealed were, hey, here is a ice type Vulpix and an ice type Sandshrew, and then they showed us Alolan Executor, which was all jungle artwork. There is no reason we should be living in the age 2025, the year of our Arceus. 2025 without a Crystal Onyx. It doesn't make any sense. But that was like a joke. Hang on. It doesn't make any sense.
That isn't a segue to the next thing?
No, it doesn't make any sense. I'm just mad about it. It actually isn't one on my list. I had to bring it up. Let me, I'll give you a real one. So this one is done by the wonderful artist Alex Allen, and this one is also one of mine. I guess we took this opportunity wisely to promote our own stuff. This is a video I did with Pragmagic. And this is a different clone of Mewtwo, or rather a clone of Persian. So I think it would make sense that if you're Giovanni and you're funding like the cloning process and you're trying to get that perfect Pokemon, there's going to be failed attempts beforehand, and like that's
you're
where
not
the
going
whole...
to go straight into Mew because that's the precious DNA that you have.
Right, you've only got like one fossil, and like you don't want to like waste that. So what are you going to do? You're going to pluck hairs from Persian, another feline Pokemon, and go, okay, lab, have at it. And I think because Persian is like, it's so funny because it's a Pokemon that he very rarely uses for battle. I think we see it maybe in like Yellow and Let's Go, but he's normally using his gym Pokemon, his ground type Pokemon. So what's Persian's function? And I love the idea that Giovanni's iconic Persian is a Pokemon that is just like a pet, but also that he has as a pet. Because, I mean, I guess it's a symbol of wealth and power because of the jewel and stuff in his head, but...
Because of how wealthy he is, he's the only person that has a Pokemon that is a pet.
That's wrong. That's wrong. It's the Glameow lady.
Yeah, Joanna has a Glameow.
Joanna, that's it. I know
in the
her
anime.
Name. I know Pokemon lore. Does she not in the... They not have... Hey, why am I arguing this? People have Pokemon pets. But they don't have Pokemon clones. And I think Giovanni would definitely have some... Like, it would be cool to find a lab somewhere... filled with other clone Pokemon. I would actually really love to see that, given that they introduced such a cool concept so early on. It'd be nice.
Speaking of clones, here's the opposite of that.
Okay, wait. The opposite of a clone is yourself. As
Your
one.
true self.
Your true self, okay.
After being separated from yourself by yourself.
We still got to make sure people enjoy the content. What you got?
Uncle Iroh's better at the proverbs than me.
Okay, all right. What we got?
Goompy.
Oh, I know this person, and I love their art.
You got Goompy.
They did some really cool ancestral forms, right? From like
That's not what
history.
we're talking about, though.
That's not what we're talking
I
about.
guess after.
But they're cool. Link in the description, again, as always, with all the artists. They're amazing.
They're so cool that they've made a concept that so many people have already done. I think they've done it the best.
Okay.
So, the original dragon, what did Reshiram and Zekrom look like when they were fused together with Kyurem and they were
Sure.
one complete dragon? A lot of other people interpret it as a black and white dragon. A lot of people, when they make Fakemon of an original dragon,
Like fuse the...
it looks like a fusion still. It doesn't look like something that just existed by itself before being separated.
Yeah, I've actually done a Fakemon of that before, and I did the same, I think, maybe mistake, where I just said, okay, well, we're going to take, black Kyurem and white Kyurem and try and, like, mesh them, and it doesn't evoke that feeling of, like, an original dragon. Like, it's more abomination. So, like,
Exactly.
what is the True Green 7 Fakemon approved, like, perfect version of this?
I think it's their original dragon, Hyolrem,
Okay.
which is this water-type dragon which looks like a royal Kyurem. It looks like something that the original brothers, the kings, would have had by their side.
Yeah, dude, this is... Yeah, not gonna lie, you're popping off here, as is, Goopy?
Goompy.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely nailed it. Water type?
That one is a little precarious. I wouldn't have done water type, although it makes sense. It should be water. I mean, electric, fire, and water makes sense as a trio.
It does, but it's plasma, right? Is the why you get the fire and electric, and then it's just dragon. But maybe not sure about the type.
Plasma is a result of the fission, basically.
Right. Okay. Sure.
So I think it also makes sense because it's ice is Kyurem. When it was separated, it froze. So.
And the electric and the fire does in a more. You said it in a really cool way, and I'm gonna be like, it melts the water. It melts it, so it's water now. I do see it. This is really cool. This is, I think, really, because you can see the Reshiram and Zekrom in there. Totally. You totally see that. But it's Kyurem. This is a pure Kyurem.
It should always be more Kyurem than the other two, I think.
Which I think is why people struggle, because Kyurem's such an abomination-looking Pokemon. We're going to get this eventually, right? Like, something like this, at some point, this is going to happen.
Yeah, maybe I'll
in
do
Pokemon
something
canon.
similar. Because everybody has a different interpretation. No original dragon form is perfect.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen.
But I agree, that's probably the closest to being like a lore-accurate one. And I do think we've been robbed of it, but I also think we're going to get it one day.
Same.
The next one I've got is one that I don't think we're ever going to get. I think the gimmick of the Pokemon is that it looks just the one way, but it could, in theory, be any Pokemon, and this is Mimikyu, right?
Oh.
So Mimikyu looks like Pikachu, and the lore there is that Pikachu's popularity is what chose it, or caused it to start choosing Pikachu cloths. And I've seen so much art. I'm actually going to show you a couple bits from different artists. So this one's by Teletio, I hope I'm saying that right, of like a number of different like Pokemon that would work as like Mimikyu cloths.
Teletello,
thank you very much. So yeah, like I like this Larvitar one, the Cacnea one. But I also think there's this person who does them, and from what I can tell, their name is Runina.
Yeah.
And I just think that they've focused on the right kinds of Pokemon that are like popular. Cute Pokemon, right? Because Mimikyu, I think it works about Mimikyu.
Sandshrew is popular, but
It's cute though. But yeah, like a Shinx or like an Eevee. Like an Eevee would be perfect. I don't see an Eevee here, but I've seen Eevees online. And I think it just like, it's the thing where like, if the lore of Mimikyu is that it wants to be loved, it wants to be held, it's like an abandoned ghost. It wants that. It's going to choose Pokemon designs that it sees people like, and that's why it chose Pikachu. So I can imagine it like taking on the guise of an Eevee. And with so many Eevee plushes in the canon of the Pokemon world. Even Penny's bag is like a, you get a Mimikyu up in there becomes a Mon.
I think you're wrong. I think we are going to get an EV Mimikyu form eventually.
You think that'll happen?
Yeah. I'm actually like very confident. I think
Wow.
30%, every other Pokemon has, let's say, a 25% chance of getting a form. I think this one has a
You actually think this is one of the more
35%.
probable ones? Maybe, if any, it would be Eevee. I don't think it would be any other Pokemon.
Yeah, Eevee.
I don't think it would be Lucario, I don't think Charizard. Eevee would be the one if it's gonna happen. I have seen other people do it with the other Pikachu clones, like but like, it would be Eevee if they're gonna. Well, cool. No, I could see that working. Is there any designs that you would like to see of the Mimikyu specifically that you're like, they should do that one?
I think I've seen art of the starters. But
that makes sense.
Rayquaza. Because you already have precedent of the kinds of caterpillar that mimic like snakes. So I've always wanted to see like a caterpillar Pokemon mimic Rayquaza, for example.
To try and be more threatening.
To be more threatening,
Yeah.
But if we have an already mimicking Pokemon,
then you do Mimikyu, and it's a ghost dragon that or it's still Ghost Fairy, I guess, and it's just like underneath this it could be in,
Sorry, it could actually be Ghost Dragon, because the reason why Dragon and Fairy are parallels of each other is because they're both the magic type.
Right.
So like Fairy magic and Dragon energy are
the two.
So you could have Dragon energy instead of Fairy magic.
So you could do the like festivals and Chinese festivals and Rayquaza's like a big part of that. You have like the sticks with the dragons on. You could get like a Mimikyu in there. And that would be sick. I'm saying this, maybe an artist has done it, and if it has, it's there. And if not, maybe you'll do it at some point. Or maybe
No,
you'll do it.
I don't have time.
Okay, someone else is going to do it. All right. What you got next?
This is the last one.
This is your last one.
This is my last one. Oh, it's by Goompy again.
All right, nailing it.
Goompy had an entire line of Hisuian forms way before Legends Arceus came out.
Oh, cool.
They continued it as well.
Yeah, I've seen these, right? And I think I know what you're gonna go for.
Well, I'm not gonna go for a random Pokemon form, but God.
I know what this is.
Origin Arceus, based on the beta form.
Yeah, no, so what, and I love this, because what I love about this is that I see people do like true Arceus forms, and there is a true Arceus form, because I think in Legends Arceus, somewhere at the end of the game, Arceus says something like, I've chosen this form. Like,
here, take a nice little simple version of me.
Yeah, like take a little llama-fied version. I've often had the idea that Arceus took the equine kind of white and gold form it did based on Weirdeer, because it saw the hero of Hisui riding around on Weirdeer in ancient times. But regardless, what I think I see a lot of people maybe do wrong is that the ring around Arceus is like, what that symbolizes, I think, in the world of Pokemon is like godly restraint. It's around, you see the red chain in the anime forms around Dialga and Palkia, and it takes that shape. And like, it's literally like God, but restricted to a particular form. Whereas here, the ring is broken. The ring is broken, and then you've also got the benefit of like, this is the beta.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the reason why the restraints on Arceus mimic that restraint as well. Yeah, they very much represent restraint. Here, they're unchained, basically, right?
Yeah.
So, I think basing the true form of Arceus on the beta makes the most sense, because it is amorphous. You can't really tell what you're looking at, and that's what a god should be. It should be unfathomable. It should be Lovecraftian, where it could mess up your mind, so you can't even, it's just a shadow, you can't tell what you're looking at.
So I got two thoughts about this. One is that like, yes, we were absolutely robbed of this in Legends Arceus, and I agree with you, but does that, and maybe it's okay they make the exception for Arceus, does that like go against like Pokemon design philosophy? Like, are they gonna turn that into a plush? Do you know what I mean? Like,
there is the Pokemon design philosophy, which I am very big on. I make sure to always utilize it and mention it in the videos, but there are always exceptions, and people always use that against me. Like, whenever I say, oh, Pokemon should look like that, they'll be like, yeah, but what about this Pokemon?
There's an exception to the rule.
But that's the exception to the rule. Right. And usually they have a reason for the exception, because they're not the smart people, they're the creators of this rule. They're allowed to break it when it makes sense.
Sure.
So if it's the god Pokemon, you definitely should make it look not like any other Pokemon.
Not like anything else. Yeah, for sure. I think that's really cool. I think that's really, really important. I agree. Okay, well, look, I've got one more, and then I've actually got one other thing I wanted to talk to you about. And it was funny because you mentioned Togekiss earlier. This is a bit of art that has been sat on my computer in a folder for probably like 4 years. I just think it is that cool. And this is by an artist called Harlequin Waffles, and it's just like one of the coolest things. And I just wanted to talk about it. It's almost like one of the first Pokemon I thought about when we thought about doing this video. And it is this Mega Togekiss design.
Hey!
What do you make of that? What do you think?
So it looks more like a Seraph, so like a six-winged fiery angel. No, this is exactly what they would do, and it has, I guess, the Arceus halo.
Yeah. But why Togekiss specifically, right? Why would I? Because at the moment,
because it is the angel Pokemon, if you think about it.
It is.
It really is.
Like, and I think that's what they were going for with Togepi, as you know, it's and then into Togetic, and Togekiss just feels like an aeroplane, and I feel like it's missing a lot of the design stuff that
actually
makes it.
I think it makes a lot of sense why it's an airplane.
Okay, why does it make sense that it's an airplane?
Because in ancient art, sometimes you'll see an aircraft that could be interpreted nowadays as like aliens, maybe.
Right. Okay.
But to them, those were like divine, like that. Like they depicted it in the art as divine, as these angels that came down. But it could have been. I don't know. It could have been a UFO.
It's also sort of a bird of paradise, right? Like it's also the other look it's trying to evoke. Which again, bird of paradise. It comes from the heavens, which is why I think it's a good design. I just feel like the design of personally Togekiss doesn't quite fulfill the promise for me of whatever Togepi was about. And there's so much interesting lore with Togepi. So the egg that is given to you, the player in Gold and Silver, was given to you by Mr. Pokemon, who was given it by the Kimono Girls. And Celebi has a Pokédex entry talking about how in the places it's traveled to, it brings eggs from like the future and it leaves them. And Togekiss' Pokédex entry talks about how it only really shows up in happier times. And so there's like lots of like the egg in the anime is found in the fossil dig site. So there's the idea that like maybe years ago Togepi used to exist, and maybe in the future, if times become better, they will appear again to people. But Celebi is like bringing these eggs from across time to it's the only way you can get Togepi egg and Togepi at all in Gold and Silver is this one random egg. And so it's just interesting that there's that kind of there's that connection around it. And I just think that Togekiss's design as it is currently doesn't, for me, fit the vast amounts of interesting lore that are out there. It doesn't feel as godly as I think it should, basically. I
think it and Arcanine should be expanded. They're both basically the same tier of Pokemon, where they're way stronger than any. They're close to legendary in stats. I think Togekiss is like slightly stronger than Arceus in terms of at least base stat total, I think. Why is it that Togekiss is the one Pokemon that has the highest base stat total that isn't a pseudo-legendary? That isn't. I mean, is there? I guess Archeops is one of them too, but that one makes sense.
Right. I mean, there are a couple. The Slacking, right? Like, but there's like reasons for that.
Well, Slacking has the BST of a legendary. I'm talking about between legendary and normal Pokemon.
Right, sure. It just seems to elevate.
Between legendary and let's say like a starter, which could be 535, or a Gyarados, I think is like 540.
You can tell I know nothing about stats. I'm the lore guy.
I don't know anything about stats too, but the base stat total sometimes gives you lore. Because like, why are these Pokemon? There's literally like a group of 5 maximum Pokemon that have the stats of close to a legendary, but are not legendary at all. You have Archeops. Then you got Arcanine.
Right.
Then you got Blood Moon Ursaluna.
Okay.
Then you got Florges, actually.
Which also has important lore ties with, AZ's Floret and that kind of thing.
Then you got Volcarona.
Okay. Which, again,
I thought
totally
it
makes sense.
I thought it had 430, but apparently it's 450. So, okay, that makes sense. Kingambit.
Okay. That's just a strong Pokemon. I don't know a huge amount about the lore of Kingambit.
But a lot of these are royal or like godlike.
Sure. Champion uses it.
Goldengo, the 1000th Pokemon. Togekiss.
Okay.
Then Gyarados.
Cool. Which, yes, definitely has big lore ties and implications at some point or another.
And at that point, we're at the 540s.
We're getting into like the normal Pokemon.
That's just the strongest Pokemon that are just normal.
Interesting. I really like the design of Togetic, and a lot of people have said my mascot looks a lot like a Togetic. They've said that it looks, and I've not given anything away. I've not given its name. I've not said really much about the design at all.
Let's just say I was thinking about that when I was designing it.
Yeah, because you made it. This is the creature, the unknown creature. Does that mean it's unknown? I don't know. That was definitely like a core thing in it. We sat in a call and basically just
sketched a bunch of concepts for this mascot.
And I was like, we need to double down for me, it was the shape. It was the totem shape of the being. I was just very excited about.
Do you want to show on screen some of the betas?
No.
No.
No, I don't.
I did tweet about it one time. You can check that out. Find that.
Yeah, I like the mystery of it. I don't get me wrong. Like, I am planning on expanding the lore of that at some point, and this just feels like the perfect video to mention that. I am going to expand the lore of it at some point. You will work out or know its name someday. Some people have worked out its name. Some people have said it correctly. Yeah. Some people, there's this really wonderful, another Twitter account to check out, I forget the name off the top of my head, does these incredible, like, lore breakdowns of the creature and what they think it might be to do with, and I love seeing the discourse. I love seeing the discussion.
Wait, so that person who has been making this breakdown got it right, the name?
They haven't said the name right. No, but somebody else has, and I'm very like, okay, I see you. So maybe at 300,000 subscribers, we'll do that. But I'm very grateful for you sitting down with me with your knowledge of divine design philosophy, and to just help me kind of work on not only the mascot, but then also this video, because I was like, how do we? You're here in Galar. We're about to head off and see the sights of England. How do we do a video together? And sure enough, Fakemon, the lore accurate Fakemon that we were robbed of. So let me know your favorite in the comments down below.
Also, a quick reminder that this video has been sponsored by boot.dev. Click that link at the top of the description and use code LorekeeperToby on checkout for 25% off an annual plan. Go try out the free demo as well. Link in the description. Also, if you've got to the end of the video, you are a real one. And so to say thank you for supporting everything I do, I want to refer you to another link in the description, which is to a Nintendo Switch 2 giveaway that ends at the end of the month. I'm also giving away a year of Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass and I'm struggling with the name, Pokemon Legends EA. I will be giving it away, of course, when the game drops as well, but the Switch 2 you get immediately. It's a worldwide giveaway, so make sure you click the link in the description to that as well, alongside boot.dev, which, again, I really recommend you check out. I think they're absolutely incredible. I just gotta say, the explosion of support from Patreons and members, just people who have been showing up to get the perks associated with those things, and just to say, hey, we want to support what you do. You've made giveaways like the Nintendo Switch 2 giveaway I'm doing possible, so again, a huge thank you to all of you. And of course, finally, make sure to check out one of these videos with Mr. True Green 7. You're incredible, and I'll see you all soon.